This illustration right here seems like it's finished. The characters and background are wonderfully rendered. However, I wouldn't call this 100% finished just yet. You see, there are some more tweaks we can do to make it look more natural and appealing. So in today's video, we're going to make some adjustments to this artwork. We'll be discussing some color and tonal corrections, plus a couple of layer blending modes that we can use in order to give this artwork the finishing touches it needs for submission, posting, or whatever you want to do with it. I'd suggest you get some notebooks so you can jot down the information while I walk you through these steps. Have you ever noticed how vibrant the colors of the movies and TV series that you watch? How scenes express a mood depending on the circumstances? Have you ever tried taking a video on your phone but it somehow looks subpar? You see, filmmakers don't really use the footage they get from the camera as is. They add filters, color adjustments, and effects to the video to get the mood they need. This process is called color grading, and it belongs to the phase 3 of the production process, which is called post-production, or simply post. Now, we're going to apply a similar concept in our artwork. However, we can't really use the steps filmmakers do in color grading because, well, we're working with still images and we're not really using video editing softwares. Don't worry, I'll be showing you the step-by-step process that I do on my artworks to color grade them. I'll be using Clip Studio Paint, but you can also use Photoshop because it literally has the same functionalities I will mention here. I have my artwork open here. Let's click this folder icon so we can add a layer folder above everything. We'll put all our effect layers here so that we don't get confused. Double check if the blending mode, which is this drop down menu here, is set to true. The first thing I would like to do is enhance the shadows and make some parts of the shading a bit darker. Now, doing it manually on each part at this point is quite tedious. So what we're gonna do instead is create a new layer and in the blending mode, set it to multiply. What multiply does is make the color that you choose darker when you brush it on the canvas. Say we choose this blue color. In normal mode, the color will be just applied as is. Let's set this to multiply, and as you can see, the blue now is like a darker shade. I'm gonna use a soft edge brush and I'm gonna brush on areas where I think a darker shade is needed, like this part of the armor where the girl is leaning, because I'm imagining there will be some cast shadow here. Let me just add some more so that you can see it clearly. Here is the before and the after. Next, we're gonna enhance the lighting and make them glow more. Let's create a new layer above, and this time let's set the blending mode to add glow. What add glow does is basically, well, add some extra glow on the image. For example, let's pick a yellow color. This is what it looks like in normal mode, and this is what it looks like in add glow mode. In this artwork, I'm gonna use a light yellow and using a soft brush, apply it on the areas where the light is shining, especially the fire. Now, you can add as many layers as you like. Play around with blending modes and opacity. Remember, you can always backpedal and delete the layer if you think it doesn't look good. We've dabbled a little bit about this in the previous video, but we can also add adjustment layers to enhance the overall color of the drawing. I'm gonna explain the common adjustment layers I use and how they work and affect the image. Quick disclaimer, you don't really need to use all of it in a single artwork. Just pick what you think the artwork needs. The first adjustment layer is brightness/contrast. The brightness adjusts the overall brightness of the image. Drag the node to the left to make it darker and drag it to the right to make it lighter. I think of it as adding a translucent white screen above the image. The contrast, on the other hand, adjusts the shadows and makes the overall shading even darker, like so. We've discussed this adjustment layer in the previous video, but I will still explain it. This is called hue/saturation/luminosity. Hue practically changes the overall color of the drawing. If you want, for example, to change the fire color to purple, you can do so right here. Saturation adjusts the vibrance of the color. If you drag the node to the left, it will turn the image to grayscale. If you drag it to the right, you can achieve an eye-burning bright neon color. Luminosity functions similarly to the brightness adjustment from earlier, but it kinda introduces this weird effect right here. The next adjustment layer we'll discuss is the level correction. Below this graph, there are 3 nodes. The leftmost node adjusts the shadow. As you can see, when we move it to the right, the shading gets darker. The rightmost node adjusts the highlights. When you move this to the left, the lighting gets brighter. The middle node adjusts the overall midtones of the artwork. If you drag this on the left, it'll get brighter, and drag it to the right, things get darker. I like using this when cleaning up some scans, and I actually made a video about how to clean your traditional ink drawings, which you can check out by clicking the eye icon above the screen. Moving on to tone curve. It's essentially the same as level correction. However, instead of using nodes for adjustments, you can use this line right here, which you can bend around into a curve, hence why it's called curves. If you curve the line downward, everything will be darker. If you curve the line upward, it'll get brighter. You can actually add curves and make it look like a wave pattern, which produces quite a weird effect. A common usage of this is called the S-curve, and it is achieved by curving the bottom area of the line downward and curving the upper part upward, resulting in the curve forming an S shape. It helps increase the contrast of the image. Lastly, we have color balance. It adds a tinge of colors to the image to enhance it. This is the closest we get to color filters. On the bottom, you can see there are three options here: shadow, halftone, and highlight. Say for example, I want to make the shading more blue. What we'll do is select shadow and then drag this node a bit to the blue side. You can see that the shading became a bit more blue, but the fire is unaffected. Now, if we want to adjust the fire and the rest of the lighting to make it more red, we click the highlight and drag this node to the red side. To adjust the overall image, click the halftone and let's just drag the nodes around to, for example, add more purple to the drawing like so. Since these adjustments are technically layers as well, you can also change the blending mode and the opacity of these layers. I'm pretty much fine with this, so the last thing I'd like to add is a bit of a foreground, so I painted some plant silhouettes on the left side. I would also like to add a vignette, so let's create a new layer. Normal mode is fine. Then we're going to select the gradient tool, select black as our foreground, and just create a black gradient on the corners like so. Then I'm just gonna adjust the opacity so that it doesn't look overbearing. With that, I can finally declare to you that this artwork is done. Yay! I really had fun making this. It's challenging and it really prompted me to study and research, and in the end, I really learned a lot. I'm really proud of what I've done here because honestly, I've never really done insanely detailed armor before. I hope you learned something from this 4-part series as well. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I have a lot of tutorials in my channel you can watch, like this one here about how you can design characters if you can't think of anything. See you in the next video.